I want to tackle a problem here that has a couple of extra complications. First of all, y is a quotient, and that quotient has a square root in it, so taking the derivative is going to be a little harder than what we've done earlier. And also, they want the final answer written as a simplified fraction rather than approximating using the calculator. So let's just go for it. First of all, as usual, you write down the formula for the differential. dy is f prime of x dx. Here, f is a quotient rule problem, so you have to remember the quotient rule. Therefore, you remember that it is the denominator square root of x squared plus 21 times the derivative of the numerator, which is 2x, minus the numerator, which is x squared, times the derivative of the denominator. And I'm hoping you can do a lot of this without writing things out explicitly now if you've had enough experience. But just to remind you, that square root in the denominator is really a 1/2 power. So the derivative is going to be 1/2 times 1 is 1/2. Write the base down, x squared plus 21, and subtract 1 from the exponent. 1/2 minus 1 is negative 1/2. Then by the chain rule, you have to take the derivative of the base, which means multiplying by 2x. And then, of course, the denominator of the quotient rule is the denominator of the original squared. So you've got the square root of x squared plus 21 all squared. Now it's a matter of simplifying a little so you can deal with it better. I'm going to put the 2x to the left side, so I've got 2x times the square root of x squared plus 21 minus the 2 times the 1/2 just give you 1, and the x times x squared gives you x cubed. But remember, a negative exponent means 1 over the positive value, so that expression with a negative exponent is really 1 over x squared plus 21 to the positive 1/2 power. And then, of course, all of that is divided by, when you square the square root, you end up with just x squared plus 21. I think next I would think of that x cubed as x cubed over 1, top times top, bottom times bottom, and also change the 1/2 power back to a square root. So next I would have dy is equal to 2x times the square root of x squared plus 21 minus x cubed times 1 is x cubed over 1 times x squared plus 21 quantity to the 1/2 power is just the square root of x squared plus 21. And then, of course, the denominator, x squared plus 21. Now, you've probably noticed by now, as I just have, as I haven't been carrying my dx down. And as you're calculating and get focused on the actual calculations, that's fine. But at some point, you need to realize that that dx belongs in here. So I'll go back and put that in there. You might decide at this point that you've simplified it enough that you can actually plug in the numbers that you need. And I think we might have reached that point. So I will take the 10 and plug in for x, and the 0.1 and plug in for dx. So doing that, for x equals 10 and delta x, which of course is the same as dx, being 0.1, I get dy is equal to 2 times 10 times the square root. Now let's do a little of this in our head. 10 squared is 100, and 100 plus 21 is 121. Minus 10 cubed is 1,000. 10 times 10 times 10. Over, and again, 10 squared is 100 plus 21 is 121. So the square root of 121. And that's 10 squared plus 21 is again 121. Multiplied by dx, which is 0.1. Okay, we've got a little bit of work to do. If you don't know this, you can check it on your calculator. The square root of 121 is 11. So you end up, as you simplify, with 2 times 10 is 20, and 20 times 11. And I think I'll just write it that way, 20 times 11, minus 1,000 divided by 11. 1,000 divided by 11 all over 121 times 0.1. At this point, I think that it might be easier, since we want the answer to simplified fraction. I'm going to have to keep it as a fraction. It might be easier to multiply the top and bottom of this fraction by 11 and at least get rid of this complex fraction. So I think at this point I'll go back and multiply everything through by 11. And you see why I'm doing this. It gets rid of the complex fraction. So I get 11 times 20 times 11. That's really 11 squared times 20. And I'll let you do that on your calculator yourself, but 11 times 11 times 20 turns out to be 2,420. And then here the 11s cancel, so you just get minus 1,000. And then that's divided by 21 times 11, which again I'll let you double check, but it's 1331. And that's multiplied by 0.1. Now I'm running out of room down there, so let's move back up. 2420 minus 1,000 is 1,420. So I'd get dy equals 1,420 divided by 1331, and that's still multiplied by 0.1. If you want to think of that as over 1, that might be the best thing to do. So it's top times top, bottom times bottom. Well, 1420 times 0.1 is 142. You can double check that if you like. And 1331 times 1 is 1331. So this problem had a couple more complications. It had a quotient rule with a radical in it, and it asked you to keep the answer as a simplified fraction. So it's just an example of something where you have to stretch a little bit and be very careful.